I never thought a snowplow would turn me into the most hated man in my neighborhood. But here we are. The whole mess started in December 2025, right after I moved into my house on Maple Ridge Drive in Rochester, Minnesota. I had just bought the place in November, a nice 3-bedroom ranch with a 2-car garage that sat on a corner lot. The previous owner had been an older guy who apparently kept to himself, and I figured I would do the same, work from home as a software consultant, shovel my driveway when needed, and live my life in peace. That lasted exactly 3 weeks. Minnesota winters are no joke. Anyone who has lived here knows that when it snows, it really snows. We are talking about feet of accumulation, not inches. The city plows the main roads, but the side streets and driveways are your own problem. Most people either shovel by hand, hire a service, or have a small snowblower. Me, I went big. I bought a professional-grade truck-mounted snowplow setup from my Ford F-250. Cost me nearly $8,000, but I figured it was worth it. I could clear my driveway in 5 minutes instead of spending an hour with a shovel in negative-degree weather. The first real snowstorm hit on December 18th. We got 14 in overnight. I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning, had my coffee, and went out to plow my driveway before my 9 o'clock meeting. The plow worked like a dream. I cleared my driveway and the sidewalk in front of my house, then did a quick pass on the part of the street directly in front of my property, since the city plow had left a massive berm of packed snow blocking everything. Done by 6:30, back inside, warm and ready for the day. That afternoon, my doorbell rang. I opened it to find a woman in her mid-40s standing there with a clipboard and a smile that did not reach her eyes. She wore a puffy North Face jacket and had her blonde hair pulled back in a tight ponytail that looked like it was giving her a headache. "Hello, you must be the new neighbor. I am Patricia Winters, president of the Maple Ridge Homeowners Association. Welcome to the neighborhood." She extended her hand, and I shook it. "Owen Crawford. Nice to meet you. I notice you have quite the impressive snow removal equipment," she said, glancing past me toward my truck in the driveway. "That is a serious plow you have got there." "Yeah, makes life easier," I said, wondering where this was going. Patricia smiled again, and this time it looked even more forced. "Well, Owen, I wanted to talk to you about community spirit and neighborly cooperation. We have quite a few elderly residents on our street, and some folks who cannot afford professional snow removal services. I am sure you noticed how much snow we got last night." "I did. That is why I bought the plow." "Exactly. So, I am sure you would be happy to help out your neighbors. We have a tradition here of people with equipment helping those less fortunate. I took the liberty of making a list of addresses that would need your assistance." She held up her clipboard, which had at least 20 addresses written on it. I blinked. "You want me to plow 20 driveways?" "Well, not just driveways. Some of them have rather long walkways. 2. Mrs. Henderson at 847 has that beautiful stone pathway that goes all the way to her backyard. And the Johnsons need their driveway in the area around their RV cleared, so they can access it. That would take me hours," I said slowly. "Oh, I am sure it would not be that bad. An hour, maybe 2. And think of how grateful everyone would be. It is the neighborly thing to do." Patricia tilted her head, still smiling. "I appreciate the thought, but I bought the plow for my own property. I work from home and do not really have time to plow the entire neighborhood." Her smile finally dropped. "I see. Well, that is disappointing. When you live in an HOA community, Owen, we expect a certain level of cooperation and community involvement. Your HOA dues help maintain our common areas and property values. I understand that, and I pay my dues. But nowhere in the HOA agreement I signed does it say I have to provide free snow removal services to my neighbors." Patricia's eyes narrowed. "I will have to bring this up at our next board meeting. We may need to revisit our community guidelines regarding equipment sharing and neighborly obligations." "You do that," I said, keeping my tone polite but firm. "Have a good day, Patricia." I closed the door and went back to work, thinking that would be the end of it. I was wrong. Over the next few days, I got 3 more visits from HOA board members, each trying a different approach. First came Gary, the vice president who tried the buddy-buddy routine, acting like we were old friends, and surely I would want to help out. Then came Dorothy, the treasurer, who tried to make me feel guilty by telling me sob stories about elderly Mrs. Henderson, who had fallen last year on her icy driveway and broken her hip. Finally, Linda, the secretary, just straight up asked if I thought I was better than everyone else. I gave them all the same answer. I was happy to be a good neighbor in reasonable ways, but I was not running a free snow removal service. If they wanted to hire me to plow driveways, we could talk rates. That suggestion went over like a lead balloon. The second major snowstorm hit on December 23rd, another 12 in overnight. I did my usual routine, clear my property, and went back inside. Around 10 o'clock in the morning, I heard Ray's voices outside. I looked out my window and saw Patricia standing in the street with a small crowd of neighbors, all of them staring at my house. She was gesturing animatedly, and even through the closed windows, I could hear her voice carrying. I grabbed my coat and went outside. "Can I help you with something?" Patricia turned to me, and her face was red, either from cold or anger. Maybe both. "Yes, Owen. We have been discussing your refusal to help your neighbors, and frankly, we have reached a consensus. The HOA board held an emergency meeting this morning, and we have decided to implement a new community guideline. Any resident with professional-grade snow removal equipment must make it available for community use during significant snow events. You cannot mandate that I use my personal property for other people," I said, keeping my voice level. "Actually, we can. The HOA has broad authority to implement rules that serve the common good of the community. This is in everyone's best interest." An older man I recognized as Mr. Harper from 3 houses down spoke up. "Come on, son. It would not kill you to help out a little. Some of us cannot handle this much snow on our own. I understand that, Mr. Harper, and I am sympathetic, but the solution is not to force me to do it for free. There are plenty of snow removal services in Rochester that you can hire. Those cost money." A woman I did not recognize shouted, "So did my $8,000 plow?" I shot back, plus the truck modifications, the maintenance, the gas, and my time. Why should I absorb those costs for everyone else? Patricia stepped forward, drawing herself up to her full height, which was maybe 5 feet 4 inches. "Because it is the right thing to do. Owen, because we live in a community and communities take care of each other. Your selfish attitude is noted, and if you do not comply with the new guideline, we will have no choice but to issue fines." Fines for what? Not volunteering my time and equipment. Fines for violating HOA community cooperation standards. $50 per day of noncompliance. I laughed. I could not help it. "You are going to fine me for not doing free labor. Good luck with that. I suggest you talk to a lawyer before you start issuing fines." "Patricia!" "Because that is not going to hold up." I went back inside, and for the next hour, I watched through my window as the group dispersed. Though Patricia stayed in the street for a while talking on her phone and shooting angry glances at my house. That evening I did my research. I pulled up the HOA bylaws and read through them cover to cover. There was nothing in there about equipment sharing or community service requirements. The HOA could set rules about things like lawn maintenance, exterior paint colors, and noise levels, but they could not compel residents to provide free services. I also looked up Minnesota HOA law and confirmed that what Patricia was threatening was completely unenforceable. On December 24th, Christmas Eve, I found a formal notice taped to my front door. It was from the HOA stating that I was in violation of the newly implemented community equipment sharing protocol and that I owed a $50 fine with an additional $50 to be added each day I remained in noncompliance. The notice also stated that continued refusal to cooperate could result in additional penalties, including liens against my property. That was when I got mad. I do not like being bullied, and I especially do not like being threatened with legal action over something completely bogus. I spent Christmas Day with my parents in St. Paul, but the whole time I was thinking about how to handle this situation. By the time I drove home that evening, I had a plan. The day after Christmas, I printed up a professional-look flyer on my computer. It read Crawford's snow removal services. Professional snow plowing available for Maple Ridge residents. Driveways $75 per clearing. Walkways $25 per clearing. RV pads and extra areas $50. Seasonal contract available at discounted rates. Call or text on that. I included my phone number at the bottom. I made 50 copies and spent an hour walking around the neighborhood putting them in mailboxes. If the HOA wanted me to provide snow removal services to the community, fine. I would provide them at market rate. The response was immediate and not what I expected. Within 2 hours, I got 12 angry text messages and 7 phone calls. Most of them were from HOA board members, but a few were from neighbors. The general theme was that I was a greedy, selfish person who was trying to profit off my neighbor's hardship. Patricia left me a voicemail that was so angry I saved it just in case I needed evidence later. She threatened me with harassment charges for putting flyers in mailboxes, which made me laugh since that is not even remotely illegal. But I also got 3 legitimate inquiries. Mr. Harper called and asked if I was serious about the $75 rate. I told him I was. He said his usual guy charged $60, but was booked solid for the season, and could I come to his driveway tomorrow morning? I said, sure. An hour later, a woman named Sandra from 2 Streets overcalled and hired me to do her driveway and walkway for $100. Then a younger couple, the Martins, called and asked about a seasonal contract. We negotiated a rate of $400 for the rest of the winter, which included unlimited plowing of their driveway. The next snowstorm came on December 30th. We got another 10 inches. I woke up early, did my own property first, then headed over to Mr. Harper's house. His driveway was one of those long curved affairs that probably would have taken him 3 hours to shovel by hand. I had it done in 12 minutes. He came out with a check already written and thanked me profusely, saying his back could not handle that kind of work anymore. I did Sandra's property next, then the Martins. By 900 in the morning, I had cleared 4 properties and made $350. Not bad for 2 hours of work. That afternoon, I got a formal letter via email from the HOA. This one was longer and more official sounding. It stated that my snow removal flyers constituted unauthorized commercial activity within the neighborhood, which violated HOA covenants prohibiting home-based businesses that created traffic or disturbance. It demanded that I cease and desist immediately and pay a $200 fine for the violation. I called a lawyer. His name was Richard Stokes, and he specialized